Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to learn how to make ice cream. Alright, ice cream, it's not a really hard task, but it's a very important task. It's what keeps this store going. Alright, and the machine, although quite simple, is very expensive, so all you have to do is follow these instructions, refer back to it anytime if need be. Alright, first thing you're going to want to do when you're going to make ice cream is get your prep area ready to go. Here at my particular store, this table is my prep area, and you can see earlier today we were doing some different tasks, so the first thing I want to do is clean up this area. So now that I've cleaned my prep area, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab our chart. Okay? This is the order of production chart. Last night, the crew should have filled out what we have on hand. Alright, so I need to do a little bit of math. I'm going to go through and I'm going to figure out what do I need to make today. So using my wizardly math skills, I'm going to fill this out and then we'll get started. So I have filled out my chart and we go on here to figure out what we're going to need to make. Now when I make ice cream, there is a particular order, and as you can see here on the back, it goes through that order for me. It tells me when I need to rinse and so on and so forth. That's right here on the back. Alright. So for today, looking at our chart, one of the first ice creams that we are going to need to make is cake batter ice cream. Here again, it tells me my cake batter, it tells me what goes in there, and everything else. Now again, all ice creams are a little bit different, but they're all made in a very similar way. So let's get started. Alright, so one of the first things we'll need to do now that we know what we're making is that we go in our walk-in refrigerator. Please ignore all the signs behind me. It is being fixed at the time of this video. But I have taken it out because right now we're storing it in the freezer, so these were a little bit frozen, so I've taken it out. This is a box of sweet cream. You'll notice it has white writing. We would use the sweet cream base for all of our ice creams. For the most part, there are a couple of exceptions. If you're making a sorbet, that would be labeled in green. If you're making a vanilla light or a yogurt, they would have a different label. And then we have our chocolate mix, which instead of the white writing would have a darker writing. Inside these boxes, just like we did before, there's going to be a FIFO. There will be dates on these boxes. I'm going to go ahead and in each box they have a bag of mix. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my bag of mix ready. Depending on the ice cream, I'm also going to need ice cream pans. I always want to put one underneath because when I'm using the larger of the ice cream pans, which is what we have for most of our ice creams, it's going to take two of the pans, so I want them ready. So when the ice cream is ready to come out, I can get it. Alright, if we were going to make a sweet cream ice cream, I would just take this bag and I would start with the ice cream process, but today we're starting with the cake batter. Cake batter has a different process. So before I even use the machine, I want to go ahead and I want to open it up. You can see here inside, it's pretty simple. I just want to make sure that it is clean. There is nothing in there, no debris, nobody's dropped anything or left anything, no standing water, nothing like that. This looks great. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close it up, latch it down, and then of course I want to make sure this is closed good and tight and locked in. Okay? We have our top portion here, which is called the hopper. This is where we would put the ice cream mix in. Again, if this were sweet cream, I'd pour that in now, but it's cake batter, so I'll show you the process of how to make cake batter. Here I'm going to use this large bucket. Some people prefer to use maybe like a quart container. Whatever your personal preference is, I like the larger bucket. Okay? So, if you're familiar with cake batter, you can just go ahead and grab your ingredients. If you're not sure, again, you can refer to your chart or make a phone call or whatever else. And our chart tells us that we need 2.5 pounds of yellow cake mix. So whichever store you're at, you go grab a bag of yellow cake mix. I'm going to go do that now. Alright, I've grabbed the bag of yellow cake mix. I have it here. I have something to stir it up. I have my large bin. I made sure it was clean. My hands have been washed. Here we go. I'm going to grab it like this, as if I were holding a baseball bat. I'm going to pop the top off on it here. I'm going to put the top down to the side because I'm going to need it again. I'm going to pour about half of the bag here into this. As you can see, it kind of looks like milk, a thick milk, a melted milkshake. Pour that in, about half, maybe a little bit more than half. And then I'm going to replace the lid. Where it was wet on one side means that's the side that goes down. Again, we're trying not to touch anything. Next, I'm going to take my bag of mix. And again, every different ice cream has a different thing. Some have flavors that we would pour into a cup. Most are liquid, but we do have a few powder flavors. So let me grab my scissors to open this bag. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna open this bag right up. And I'm gonna pour the entire bag in there. Don't just, be careful when dumping it. You don't want a bunch of cake mix flying up in your face. And as I work, I'm gonna stay clean. There should be a garbage can nearby. Keep it going. I'll take my mixer and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mix it up. This process will take a minute. Shouldn't take too long. You can leave a few clumps. The biggest thing is you don't want to have any of that dry mix. This is why it's important you put the ice cream mix in first and then the dry mix on top. If you put the dry mix in first, you're going to have clumps at the very bottom when you go to try to do this, so that's not a good thing. Now I'm going to take my bin and I'm going to bring it to my ice cream machine. Now again, earlier I made sure, but since this is my first one today, I'm going to make sure that everything is closed and tight. And as I showed you before, I put the pan underneath just in case I do something silly or forget something to close something or it drips, it's going to drip into the pan and not make a mess that you're going to have to clean up later. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour this in. Nice and easy. Now there's going to be a little bit left in here. We're going to try our best to get that out. Again, each person has their own little bit of a process. I'm going to get a spatula and I'm going to use that spatula and I'm just going to carefully do the best that I can, get as much out as I can because everything that's in here costs money. I'm going to go back and I'm going to get the remaining ice cream mix that I didn't use. Take my lid, now I'm not going to need it again. I'm going to throw that away. Again, throw those lids away right away. Don't put them near the machine. Unfortunately, people have dropped them into the ice cream and have served them to customers. So please, get those lids, throw them in the trash right away. I have my baseball bat grip. And as I pour it in, I'm going to try to rinse down that little bit of flavoring, that cake batter mix, what I poured in earlier. Again, different flavors call for different things. And in this video, I'll show you a couple other different flavors. Now, the bag appears to be empty, but yet again, like with the other, it is not completely empty. There is still ice cream left in the bag. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop this open and I'm going to grab my scraper. Here I'm just going to use this one. At the other store, or sometimes you have a plastic one, whichever works. I like to go straight across and then pull it all down. As you can see where there was a lot of white, there is no longer. And I want to try to bring it towards the back here. Right about here, I'm going to fold it up, lift it up, and this little bit that's left, I'm going to pour it into the machine. As you can see, quite a bit actually comes out. Again, that could be as much as a kid's size in ice cream. So it's probably about 50 cents worth of what's in this bag. I'm going to close up the hopper, and now I'm going to look at my buttons. As you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, there are 4 buttons. Stop is obvious. We have the button that looks like an ice cream machine. We have a button that looks like the bottom here where it comes out, and we have one here where it's our wash. Since we're making ice cream, we are going to hit this button right here. That button fires up our ice cream machine. Now, depending again at which store you're in, you can use the Alexa or the Echo to set a timer. I happen to be here at the Boynton store. This store, the machine will beep. But if you're at the Lake Worth store, it will not beep. This is my first ice cream of the day, so I would tell the Alexa or set it on my phone, a timer for about 8 minutes. Okay? And when that timer goes off, that means the ice cream is done. That also means I have about 7 or 8 minutes to do something else. This is not stand around and watch the ice cream do it, it's do something else. So what I would want to do is I want to prepare for my next ice cream. So if I come back to my table and I look over, the next ice cream on my list is a strawberry ice cream. This is a great one because you're going to see it's a flavoring. So to do this, I don't need this bin anymore. I don't need this. So we're going to take these. I'm going to clean my prep area as I go. As you saw, the ice cream pan. Again, we have a bunch of ice cream pans. They're all right here. They're all the same exact color. And most of the ice creams we have here at the store, the ice cream that goes in it, they're all the same color. So I need to make sure I have a paper that I'm going to put on the top of the ice cream that you've seen before. So for today, the first one we're making is cake batter. We're going to put its abbreviation, and then under it, we're just going to put the date. We don't have to put the year because we're going to be using this ice cream maybe as soon as tomorrow. but within a day or two, because everything we have here is extremely fresh. And remember, it will make 2 pans, so we're going to create 2 of these. If I ever make a flavor that uses the small pans, then I would make 4. Okay? So I am ready for the cake batter when it's ready. So while it's doing its job, I'm going to get ready for the next one. Now I'm going to go get my strawberry flavoring. A lot of the flavorings we keep again in the walk-in. Today's walk-in isn't working as it should, but it's cold enough for certain things and the flavoring that we have here. All right, let me get the flavoring and I'll get back to you. All right, so I got my strawberry flavoring. This one happens to be in a bag. Many of the other flavorings that we have are going to be in tubs like this. So as you can see here, this is the French vanilla flavoring. Okay, they all have dates, so make sure you use the one with the oldest date on top. So that means don't open a brand new one when there's already some left. And it would tell me how much I need. So an example of a French vanilla, if I turn it on the back, it says I would need 1.5 cups of French vanilla flavoring if I were to make it. For the strawberry ice cream, I'm just going to use this entire bag, which makes it easy. I don't have to measure it out. But if I did have to measure it out, I'd get a measuring cup, pour it in that measuring cup, and move on. Many of the flavors, cotton candy, mint, pistachio, rum raisin, a lot of them use this type of liquid. There's cheesecake and strawberry for this, and some of the other, like we did the cake batter, cookie dough, those are going to use the powders. All right, you can see here we have some lights lit up. We have 2 lights. After you get about 6 or 7 of those lights, the machine will beep and those lights will flash, but that only occurs here at Boynton. All right, so that gives you an idea of how this works. Again, at Lake Worth, you're just waiting for the Alexa or your phone to do the timer. So we still have a little time. I'm still getting some other stuff done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here at Boynton, we have a beep. If we were at Lake Worth, you'd probably be hearing the alarm right now. Once that happens, you have maybe a minute. Don't take any more than a minute. If you happen to be serving customers and you're out there and you hear the beep and you have time to finish real quick what you're doing, that's fine. If you don't have time, you have to tell the customer, I'm sorry, I'll be right back. The ice cream I have in the back is ready to go, and if I don't get it out, the ice cream machine will freeze over. And trust me, you don't want the machine to freeze over. Now that it's ready, I'm going to go back to my buttons. I'm now going to hit this button. That means to take out. The extraction button. I'm going to push it, and then I'm going to open up my machine. And as you can see, it looks a lot different now than it did when it went in. Okay, I have a nice, clean, ready to go spatula. And I'm going to be using the spatula just to move it to the side. I don't want to overdo it, because one of the things that this machine puts in this ice cream that's super important is air. And the more I mix it around, the more I push out that important air that I put in. Now I've filled up about 1 pan. Each ice cream's a little different. You'll get used to it. I'm going to move that pan off to the side. And remember, I had my second pan. I put it right here. I'm going to go ahead and put that under. And I'm going to continue up. Now, if I wait too long to do that second pan, there's only about 3 minutes for the extraction to take place. So you have to do this in a row. You can't say, oh, I'll do 1 pan, let me go do something else, and I'll do the other. It will shut off, and then again, it's like the machine freezing up. You'll have to scrape it all out, and it is not a fun process. While that's going, I'm still working. I'm coming over now. Remember those papers I filled out earlier? Our cake batter with the date. I'm going to take it, I'm going to place it right on the top, get the edges down. We're going to go from here, and then I'm going to finish up here. Again, this process can take upwards of 3 minutes, so once this is all done, we'll move on to the next step. See, we're about here at the end. It's kind of hard to hear it probably on the camera, but the machine's making a little bit of a noise. And sometimes it gets louder. That means it's about done. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit my stop button. It would automatically stop on its own, but I don't need it to. I'm going to take my spatula. I'm going to get this off. I'm going to open up the machine, and I'm going to see if there's any cake batter that I can get out. And usually, if done right, there shouldn't be much. Got my second paper, and I'm ready to go. All right. From here, the ice cream is going to go into our blast freezer. You've worked here long enough. If you're learning to open, you should know what a blast freezer is. At both stores, it looks the same. Right now, it's right over here. The temperature of the blast freezer, you should always look here. You can see right now it's about, well, it changes. It's about 27 degrees below zero. You want the blast always at least below 10, preferably below 20. Now they do go into defrost mode, so don't panic if, oh, for that moment or when I open it, it changes. It's when it's running for a period of time. Start whichever shelf you prefer. Usually I would like to start on the bottom, but I'm going to carefully place these 2 pans in there, like so. Normally this would be empty, but again, we're having fridge issues on the day of our video shoot. I'm going to close these up. I'm going to close up my door. And I'm going to make sure this goes here. It says when we're going from cake batter and we want to go to the strawberry, there is a rinse in there. So I have to rinse the machine. I don't have to rinse the machine after every flavor, just after some of the stronger flavors, or in this case like a cake batter, it's a gluten issue, so we need to rinse it in between. I'm going to do a rinse of the machine. Both stores, I'm going to get myself a big old bucket. I'm going to go over to my sink, whichever sink is closest to you. Here at Boynton, the 3-compartment sink is closed. At Lake Worth, there's a hand sink right near the machine. I'm going to, again, double check that I was smart enough to close everything, and then I'm going to pour it in. As I pour it in, I'll try my best to rinse this off in top here. Not a huge issue. It's going to leave a little bit of ice cream residue, but that's just the sweet cream. Closed it up. We go back to the buttons. Remember, this button makes the ice cream. This button takes out the ice cream, and our final button to the left, the one we're going to use here, this is what we use to clean the machine. So I'm going to hit it. As you can see here, it gives you 3 lights, and it gives you a 3. That means it will spin for 3 minutes, and each light means 1 minute. We don't even need a full minute to do this first rinse. While it's rinsing, I'm going to get another bucket prepared. It's been in there for about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. That's plenty for our first one. We're going to hit the stop button. And we have to pause a little moment here. We have to make sure that the water actually stops. If I hit stop and I open it right away, it's going to create a mess. I got that large bucket here that I used for the cake batter. All this coming out. It's good, so I'm going to slowly, I'm just going to pop it and pull it up. Keep your hand on the bucket. Trust me. Many of people have not kept their hand on the bucket, and the bucket falls and the water falls, and now you have a lot more work. Again, pouring it in there, trying to rinse down any extra. Hit the button to clean it again. While that's happening on both machines, you're going to see one of these. This is just our spray it down. Hold and open. All right. So now, if you recall, the last time when we looked in there, we had quite a bit of ice cream residue and a lot of bubbles. This time, not so much. Now what I need to do is I need to get my clean scraper again. And you can see there's some standing water. That's the last thing we want. We want to use this scraper to pull out all that standing water. Now we're going to take this water and pour it down the drain and move on.